And we are finally back. Welcome back to the Critics Clinic for all your things movie and entertainment, prescription related. Before we do anything else, click the button below, subscribe, like, comment. I think you're going to want to comment on this one because I am here to talk about Wicked for Good. I don't know if I've been changed for the better, but I've been changed for good. I actually saw it about a week ago at the Amazon pre-screening, and I really had to sit with it. I had to listen to the soundtrack that came out a couple days ago, and I just wanted to kind of, in my head, conceptualize what I was going to say, because this is obviously a big movie, and you have a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, like critic or otherwise, kind of giving their 2 cents on what they felt about the movie. This is a spoiler-free review, if it can be. Again, this is a 20-plus-year-old musical, so if you don't know the story by now, you may never know. You probably don't care to see Wicked. But it's not going to be spoiled. It's going to be my reaction to the movie. I'm going to obviously tie in things from the Broadway so I can kind of compare it. Obviously, starting out, I'm going to do my 5 categories for 2 points each for a total of 10 points for my prescription at the end. And I've seen a lot of backlash about this. And for me, it's not a big deal being someone who likes theater and Broadway and movies and all that kind of stuff. People keep calling it a sequel. And I get the issue. It is not a sequel. It is the second half after intermission of the actual musical on Broadway. So it is. I'm just going to call it part 2. It is not a sequel. I'm aware. So we will start with the first category. Cast and crew. It can make or break a movie. Obviously, the cast is returning from the first half, from the first Wicked, for Wicked for Good. Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, obviously, Jonathan Bailey, Michelle Yeoh, Jeff Goldblum. So you have kind of all the originals from the first one and this one. Again, make or break. Obviously, they did just as phenomenal in this movie. Oh, I can't even speak. I sound like someone from Oz. As phenomenal in this one as they did in the first movie. I would say this, without giving any spoilers. If you've seen the musical, really part 1 is Glinda's moment, whereas part 2 is really Elphaba's kind of, not redemption arc, but just kind of the road to becoming the Wicked Witch and how she gets that way with the no good deed moments and all that kind of stuff. I would say for this, Ariana was very consistent with both movies in terms of kind of blowing everybody away with her acting prowess, with her comedic timing, which I'm still just so impressed with. It's so campy when it needs to be in the perfect way, but then it's just, it's spot on with the timing. It's so funny, but then she's able to kind of really turn that off and be very serious. She had way more serious moments in this movie, and I appreciated John M. Chu for doing that, because I always felt like the part I didn't like about the stage play was how overly quirky Kristen Chenoweth was with Glinda's character. You never felt for her. You never felt bad that she lost Fiyero. You never felt bad that she was trapped in this kind of idealistic world, because she was just so quirky. You never really felt for her as a real human. Or she's not a human, whatever, an Ozian. And I feel like with this, you really get to see those nuances of those emotions. You get to see Ariana's Glinda really being let down, really being conflicted, really feeling lost, and feeling like you have this perfect world and you got everything you wanted. Is this what happiness is? Which is one of the main songs. And I really appreciated that. Ariana, kudos. I'm going to be, obviously, Cynthia and Ariana 100% will get nominations for the Oscars. Especially with the competition this year, I would be shocked if she does not win the Oscar. I think pretty much she has it in the bag for Best Supporting. On to Cynthia. Cynthia's also been just as consistent. I just feel like her, oddly enough, this musical is about Elphaba. I feel like her character is just not as fleshed out in this movie as Glinda's character is. I think she acted it well. I think we'll get to the music in a second with kind of her musical numbers were incredible. I think she has bigger competition for her category of lead actress. I think she could win. It's going to be an uphill battle, though. I think she did an incredible job. Cynthia Erivo has proven herself time and time again. I mean, just being honest, she should already have an Oscar. The fact we're even talking about her not having one is really the silly part of this conversation. I think she's deserved it for several movies before Wicked. It's just Wicked is so big that the conversation's coming up now, because it's well, this is one of the biggest movies of the decade. It's can we give it to her now? And again, this might hurt her a little bit because it's such a big movie, and usually people don't win Best Actor categories from major blockbusters like this. So we'll see. I don't know. But the two of them together, their chemistry is phenomenal. And say what you want. People are like, oh, is this a love story between them or between Jonathan Bailey Spiro? They definitely, again, without any spoilers, they definitely made it more of a real emotional connection between Glinda and Elphaba, which I really appreciated. It was incredible down to the end. I thought they did a great job. Jonathan Bailey did great. He has this ridiculous ability to connect with anybody he's on screen with. He can kind of just look into their soul. He's an excellent actor. I love to see what else he does from here. Obviously, he's coming off of the Sexiest Man Alive win, so he's doing great in that. Jeff Goldblum, he's incredible. He actually made me love my least favorite song, Wonderful. He's a national treasure. We all love him. He did excellent. I have no notes about him. I will say this. I love Michelle Yeoh. She's incredible in acting. I think I said this in the first video when I was reviewing Wicked over a year ago. You had Keala Settle right there. It didn't make sense. I honestly wish they should have reversed the casting, because they created a new character, Miss Cuddle or whatever, for Keala Settle to just be a talker, the head mistress of, Shiz, and then they gave Michelle Yeoh this character to be Miss Marvel, or Madame Marvel, and I feel like they could have reversed those roles, because typically in the Wicked lore, in the stage play, usually it's more of a boisterous woman who's playing that role with some comedic timing, stuff like that, and also singing. And I feel like Michelle just didn't fit that role. I mean, great actress. I just kind of wish Keala Settle had that role, and Michelle Yeoh had that new character they made. Because there is some singing in this one for Michelle Yeoh's part, and it was bad. It was really bad. Like, hearing her sing took away from everybody else singing, I'm not gonna lie. But again, cast and crew, it's easily a 2 out of 2. John M. Chu knew what he was doing. Now on to the plot. Obviously, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because I said no spoilers. And again, the plot was not something that John M. Chu created de novo. Like, it's a plot based on a stage Broadway musical based on a book. So I can't fault him. And it pretty much stayed consistent with what the original story was. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 2. So right now we're at a 4. I would say for the production is where we'll get into a little bit of the nuances. I would say overall, this one did not flow like the first half of Wicked. I feel like the first one, it was kind of moment after moment. And that has to do with the music as well. There's a lot of big numbers in the first one, and you're introducing a lot of characters, and it just feels more exciting, whereas this one, it's more... I think I saw someone say it best on social media. The first movie was 100% a musical with just moments of dialogue, where this is actually a movie where there are songs that are breaking up the storyline. It doesn't feel as much like a musical as the first one, where it truly is song after song, production after production, dancing, and also just the mood's lighter, which is consistent with the stage play. Like, it's darker. This is the second half. Like, she's been deemed the Wicked Witch now, so it is a darker tone. She's trying to find her way. So I would say from that standpoint, but it did seem like some of the editing was a little off at some points, I would say. Not bad. I'll get to the end. I enjoyed the movie. I would just say it was a little choppy in some parts. And then production-wise, John M. Chu obviously is overseeing this movie. And you can't change the storyline. I just wish there were some things they had done differently. Again, this is more of a music thing, so I'll get to it in the music category. One thing I wish he'd really delved into, because he's really big on showing you characters' backstories and their emotional connection to what's happening to them. I wish he'd spent a little more time, and they do this in the stage play too. Like, obviously when the house falls on Nessarose, they get the shoes and they go over whatever. And I feel like this happened in the movie too. I was like, we didn't really get any time to mourn. Like, she just lost her sister, who she had spent her whole life protecting and taking care of and advocating for. And also, this was Glinda's one of her good friends at school, and it just kind of happened, and we just kind of went along our way. I would have loved for John M. Chu to really kind of take that moment to have them have a come to Jesus moment, if you will. Not different from the story, but just kind of giving them a moment to be like, I really, okay, this was my girl, whatever, this was my sister. Like, it felt weird watching it on a movie when you have a lot more time to flesh it out, whereas a stage play, it makes more sense that they gloss over it. I would say from that standpoint, and a couple of other choppy moments, and some song choices that production-wise seemed a little off and almost a little rushed compared to the first one, outside of No Good Deed, which obviously they spent all their money and time on. I would actually dock it a little bit, and I'm going to give it a 1.5 for this one out of 2. On to the next category, music, the most important category of this movie because it is a musical. I cannot dock any points from the original songs. Obviously, they are the original songs. We have to spend a moment on the 2 new songs. No Place Like Home, which Elphaba performs. Also Girl in the Bubble, which Glenda performs. I may get a lot of flack for this, but neither one of those songs were needed. Neither one of those songs were needed. Wow. I would say, I've had some time. That's why I had to sit with the soundtrack. I saw the movie in its totality, and seeing it in the moment, I would say I preferred Girl in the Bubble better in the movie, just because of the way it was shot. It gave it gave Ariana Grande's character a moment to kind of flesh out what she was doing and how she's like, this is a perfect life and it's still not what I wanted. Very Disney Soul type situation. I got to my point and it's like, this wasn't what I wanted. I missed the journey. I would say from that standpoint, but the song just wasn't good. Ariana Grande sounded amazing, but it just wasn't a good song. And then No Place Like Home, I was talking to one of my musical friends about this, and it was just one of those things where the song starts out, and it's actually a really good song, and then the beat completely changes, and it becomes very, I guess they were trying to pay homage to The Wiz, and just kind of Cynthia Erivo's other stuff, because it felt very The Color Purple with the way the beat changed, and it was so different than the rest of the song, and the rest of Wicked itself, and it just didn't sound right. And in the movie, they edit out her final note, and she doesn't get to finish the song, and it just felt so incomplete. Like, when we finally get into the song a little bit, it just stops. And it just wasn't good. So I would say from that standpoint, I did not enjoy either new song. But we have to spend a moment to talk about No Good Deed, which is arguably the best song of the second half of Wicked. And for me, biasedly, it was my favorite song of the musical before I ever saw either one of these movies. And so I was very excited to see this. When she started singing, I was blown away. By the end of the song, the theater was just clapping, obviously, but there was this just moment where you realize you've been holding your breath this whole time. If there's ever a time, I know there are certain musicals, where people can do a singing number and win an award for that. Very much Jennifer Hudson, and I'm telling you, Dreamgirls gets the Oscar for that. I could see this happening for Cynthia. No Good Deed was probably one of the greatest musical cinematic moments I have seen on the big screen. It was perfection. It as much as I loved the original, Idina Menzel couldn't sing this if her life depended on it. It was incredible. The way she goes up an octave at the end note versus the original one, it was incredible. And all of the production budget was put into this song for this second half of Wicked for sure. It was a spectacle. All the special effects, all the flying, all the music. I won't spoil it for you. It was incredible. I would say to go see Wicked for good just to see Cynthia Erivo sing No Good Deed. It was actually that good. And if we were just basing the musical portion of my category strictly on that, it would be 100 out of 2. But we have to do all of the music, and I do feel like the new songs actually took away from the movie, and they were actually not enjoyable at all. Girl in the Bubble and No Place Like Home, they could have left them out. So I'm going to dot 0.5 and give it a 1.5. So currently we're at an 8 out of 10, which is still a great score. We still have one category left. Or out of 7. I'm sorry, I can't add. Don't judge me. I apologize. We're at a 7. 7 out of 10. So the final category, how much did I enjoy this movie? I'm biased. I love musicals. I love Broadway. I love sci-fi, which I categorize this as sci-fantasy. Easy a 2 out of 2. I very much enjoyed this movie. I do have to compare it to the first half, rather. Wicked, the first half, it was special because it honestly can be a standalone, and it's the first half before intermission. It's where you meet all the characters. It's where all the hope is still available. And I think a lot of people really resonate and identify with that. And so they enjoy that one more, versus this one is slower. It's a lot more dialogue. It's a lot less big musical numbers. It's more somber. So from that standpoint, I could see how the critics are saying the pacing is different and it's not as good. I don't think it's not as good. It's just a different emotion and it's a different feeling. And like I said, in the musical category, I think the new songs truly did a disservice to the movie in what could have been a 10 out of 10 movie. Had they just fleshed out some of the characters, I would have loved to seen a little more backstory with Bob, with Fiero, with Nessa Rose. Like, how did she rise to the power of governor? Like, is there an election? Does it just happen? Is it you're born into it? I feel like I thought the whole point of having a 2-part movie was having more time to flesh out like the characters and their backstories. And I don't feel John M. Chu did that. It's almost like he took a whatever 2.5 hour movie and just mapped it to what was 45 minutes to an hour of the musical, and then added 2 new songs and kind of fleshed it out with like production, but not any more story. So I would say from that standpoint, it was a bit of a miss. Still 2 out of 2. I'm going to give this the overall movie a prescription of a 9 out of 10. It was still a great movie. I think that's what a lot of people are missing with these critiques. It's in no way a bad movie. It's, in fact, one of the movies I've seen this year, one of the best. It's just, but you do have to compare it to, the first half, because they are part of the same universe, the same movie. And if I had to pick one to just watch on any given day, I would watch the first half for sure. But if I had to say what was my favorite musical number and the best production moment, it would be No Good Deed in this movie, hands down. It beats The Wizard and I, it beats Defying Gravity from the first half, easy. And you'll know what I mean when you see it. No Good Deed was fantastic. Honestly, if Cynthia Erivo got an Oscar for that, I wouldn't be mad, because other actresses have gotten it just for a one moment in a movie, especially musical movies. I think Ariana Grande is a shoo-in for Best Supporting Actress, honestly. I don't see any other noms coming from an acting standpoint for any of the other cast. It will get nominated for Best Picture. I don't know if it'll win, because again, it's going to be a big blockbuster, so I doubt it'll get it. A lot of production awards are going to go to this movie for sure. But I would say overall, I'm going to see it a couple more times just to kind of sit with it a little more. I think I need to, because again, it's easy to go into it, and before you even start watching it, you're comparing it to the first half. And so I'd say do not do that. Go into it as its own movie and just watch it, and I think you'll enjoy it a lot. 9 out of 10 prescription. Tell me what you think below. A lot of thoughts on this one. Again, it's a big movie. It's a lot of polarity, because again, you have the movie theater kids who have grown up on Wicked and love Wicked and have their own thought pieces, and you have the movie people who don't necessarily know Wicked, but they know movies. And so it's just kind of like, tell me what you think below. I enjoyed it, if you can't tell.